also that the teaching acquired an additional authority by being entrusted to this acousmatic voice. It acquired a sort of surplus of meaning, an aura, which could be dissipated if one could see the banal location, the source that it was coming from. So the beauty of this mechanism is in its simplicity and in the manner in which it can function automatically, formally. One could even say that someone quasi-automatically becomes a master by lecturing behind a screen. There is a surplus authority by which the teacher is not merely a teacher, but also the master. And this surplus stems from this invisible voice, not just from the content of the proposed ideas. So the body seems to be an embarrassment for the spirit. But here is again a lure in this, an illusion, since the voice itself is a kind of a body. So there is a reversal. In a way, it is more body than the visible body. It's this spectral body which is more forceful and intrusive than any other body can be. So this disembodied body compels, and the teaching is more persuasive. It's supported by this acousmatic voice. So the spirit, as if, obtains a new body in the voice. And this is the source of its efficacy. And one can remember that in the Bible and in a number of other religions, God regularly appears as an acousmatic voice. And we can only surmise what happened with the hapless disciples once the curtain was lifted after all these years, and they could see with their own eyes this wonder, this source of the voice, this pitiful and banal old man. For everyone would appear trivial under circumstances. There is no way that one's appearance would measure up to this voice and its authority. So one can pity the poor teacher when the curtain was lifted. And one can surmise that it necessarily turned into black comedy. So, if we have this acousmatic dispositive at the beginning of philosophy, then we find one also at its end, in this strange post-festum, which is psychoanalysis, the figure of psychoanalyst. The analyst is also someone one cannot see. But following Freud's guidelines, he's supposed to sit behind the couch, outside of the field of vision. And here too, the intention is to be rid of all visual distraction, in particular to prevent the possibility of patients reading the analyst's reactions in his behavior and to take cue from his face. The analyst is thus a ghost, an invisible creature, a spirit deprived of its body. But the situation is now exactly the reverse. According to Freud's dispositive, it is now the patient, the subject, who has to do all the talking. It is indeed the talking here. And the one who talks is the one to be cured. On the other side, the analyst can do his job, in the limit at least, by keeping silent. And Freud himself considers for a moment the possibility of a cure that could be carried out without him saying anything. So the situation is directly reversed. The subject talks, not in order to prefer a teaching, dispense ideas. He speaks about anything that happens to fall into his mind in the maximal distance of philosophy. This is mere babbling, mere free associations. Anything goes. But the point is that he speaks to this invisible other, the one supposed to know, as Lacan. Notoriously, this is Lacanian formula for transference, and the vocal tie is essential to transference. So the one who is supposed to know is the one not to be seen. He's structurally behind the curtain, and hence appears as this strange, ghostly, omniscient, omnipotent creature. So the analyst is a sort of Pythagorean embodiment in reverse. He's not a creature of the acousmatic voice, the voice of authority, but the inaudible voice. And this inaudible voice, the silence, which stems from the analyst, is perhaps the voice in its pure form, the voice brought to its concept. Not the acousmatic voice, but but an acousmatic silence. A silence whose source one cannot see and locate. So the subject learns and transforms himself, not by listening to a voice or teaching, but by speaking himself into this silence. So one learns from the silence of the other, which receives one's own voice, and the moment it receives it, it transfigures it. The other is not the possessor of a doctrine, it is the subject himself who has to make his way through his own babbling, a babbling which turns into something else through the loop of the silence of the other. So now, after making this some general points, so general framework, I want to come to this more concrete examples, and I will talk about two. And I want to start with a performance of Valley Export, which was done for the Biennale in Venice in 2007, last year. I suppose you heard about Valley Export. She has been around for 40 years. I think nobody knows what her real name is, because in 1967 she acquired this name of Valley Export, and she's done a series of rather disturbing and avant-garde videos, performances, various installations. And I will just look at this one thing. And it takes up in an astounding and compelling way the question of where does the voice come from. Well, it may seem obvious that the voice is emitted through the mouth, but the mouth itself is but an opening. It's a crack, a fissure, a hole. The mouth only points to somewhere more remote, a hidden recess inside. So it sort of lures the eye to follow inside, to penetrate. Its origin eludes us. It is relegated into some unfathomable interior, a hidden source, which is forever invisible. And so there is a bodily recess which forces its way through this opening into the open, into the outer world beyond. But what is inside this opening? What is on the other side of this opening? So we can watch now a clip from this. Well, Anselm thought we'll take it from the beginning. This will be 7 minutes and something, and I will just I will say two things in advance. I don't know how to put it. The word deep throat comes easily into mind. And I will just remind the Deep Throat, the director of Deep Throat actually died last week. The porno movie, 72. And actually, in obituary in Time magazine, they called this thing the Citizen Kane of pornography. I found this really astounding. And I will give as a warning, you will see why. This is not a porno movie. Although it may look like one. And I take also this example because probably it's clearly connected with my work. And I didn't know about it. She sent me this afterwards to see what I think. And she takes out my work, she takes certain ideas, and she takes a quote from my book at a certain point. We'll watch to that point because I find it extremely funny, because she literally wants to give the credit for the quote, and she chokes on my name. My name gets stuck in her throat. She can't quite bring it out. So you can watch from the. You will see the beginning is. You'll see. I won't say anymore. This is in German. This is in the subtitles.
Sie ist aber nicht mein eigen. Sie spricht von selbst. Meine Stimme ist ein begehrendes Wesen. Für jede Äußerung des